Hello and welcome to Boring Dad Gaming, where today I'm going to be taking a look at another class in Baldur's Gate 3 Early Access, which is Rogue. Rogue's one of my favourite classes to play in the game, actually. It's probably the first time I played it and just really enjoyed it. I also played a Rogue in about a 2-year-long campaign on tabletop. And yeah, it's just, I don't know if it's just me, maybe that's bias, but I find it quite a fun class to play. So the first thing we're going to mention is, let's make them male, but the two fighter videos I did were both female, so let's do a male. Select a background. So there are actually three backgrounds that make sense, one being the urchin, so you get sleight of hand proficiency and stealth proficiency, both of which are useful. You also have the criminal background, so you get stealth and deception proficiencies, and charlatan, deception and sleight of hand proficiencies. So you know, slight variations there depending on what your playstyle is going to be. For me, maybe I'd look at the stealth element, because stealth can be used to get ranged sneak attacks from, so that's useful. And deception, so we've got like a conversation proficiency of some kind, so that's going to be good. So if we move on to race, there are three choices for race as well, as far as I can see. The first one, and the one we're probably going to go with, is Wood Elf. Slightly strange shade there, but Wood Elf, because they get Dexterity +2, and they get a Wisdom +1. And Wisdom is useful for perception checks, so we're probably going to be the lead character pretty much all the time, which means we're going to be the first one to be able to spot traps, hidden secrets, that kind of thing. So having a reasonably decent Wisdom modifier is very useful. The next selection really that makes sense is Drow. Doesn't matter which type. Again, you get the +2 dexterity. You also get +1 to charisma. And I mentioned this in the soldier video, but as the lead character, you're going to be sort of pretty much the face of the party a lot of the time. So having a reasonable charisma modifier just makes conversations a bit easier, and just persuading people that bit easier as well. And then you've got half elves, which I'm not sure if any of them do anything differently. I don't think they do. There's probably minor variations, but basically you get charisma +2 and the ability to add to your dexterity and wisdom modifiers. So that's quite nice too. But for this video, I'm going to go with the Wood Elf. And we're going to pop into appearance just because I find that skin tone a little bit distracting. So let's put on just something a bit more natural. Straight into class, we're going to choose Rogue. Nothing really to mention here. Skills, we've got perception and deception already, granted by the things we've already picked. Acrobatics for, you know, just being a bit better with falling and staying on our feet and stuff. I'm going to unselect performance. I don't really see the point of that. But persuasion and sleight of hand are both nice. We get to choose what we're going to add to. Something like insight might be good. Investigation would be nice, but our modifier is going to be very bad in a minute. So maybe I'll add insight. And in terms of our expertise, where our proficiency bonus is doubled, I would, yeah, you could take both of those. I'm actually going to take perception. And then stealth maybe, but I'm actually going to take deception just for our conversation checks. But I think if you were to take sleight of hand and stealth as was the default there, I think you'd be, you know, well within your rights to do that. Abilities. So we've got high dexterity already. That's good. Intelligence, I'm gonna drop down. Wisdom's quite nice where it is. We bump the charisma up a couple. I'm going to top up the strength a little bit, just because in the playthrough I was a bard, I had very low strength like this, and actually it was quite frustrating because, you know, as the lead character he was picking everything up, but he could hardly carry anything, so he'd constantly have to swap things into other inventory. So just for a little bit of quality of life, I'm just going to top that up by a couple of points, just to make them a bit better at that. Constitution's decent, wisdom's decent there. We've got a little charisma modifier as well, plus decent proficiency bonus on those skills, so that's looking pretty good. So when we come back, we're going to level this character up. Right, so here we are at level 2. Not a lot to say for this, there's 0 choice, but just to point out that at this level we get a couple of cunning actions, which is bonus actions for dash, which is quite nice, and for disengage, which I don't tend to use that much, but you know, it's there if needed. Here at level 3 is where things start to get interesting, because there's a couple of choices of subclass. There's Arcane Trickster, which is kind of a sort of cross between a rogue and a wizard. I don't tend to pick this because, I mean, I did play this in the tabletop game I mentioned. I honestly found that I wasn't casting spells that much, and when I did, they weren't that effective. Because sneak attack is just so much more effective, and our intelligence is pretty low, so learning spells and having a high spell save DC, it wasn't really our forte. So I'm going to stick to Thief for this guide. Thief, we get a couple of really nice features. We get fast hands, so we get an additional bonus action, and when we see that we're dual wielding with 2 knives or 2 short swords or whatever, we're effectively going to have 3 attacks, one of which is a high damage sneak attack, so that, you know, this rogue is going to be putting out a lot of damage. And second story works fine. I mean, it just means that we're going to have a bit of resistance to falling damage, which is nice enough. I mean, other enemies will push you in this game. It does happen, and when it happens, it just means we'll be taking less damage. So at level 4, with the fighter, I bumped up a couple of abilities to sort of round things up and do a bit more damage, but I'm actually going to go in to do a feat here, and the reason being is dual wielder. So dual wielder, when you're wielding a melee weapon in each hand, we get +1 to armor class, and we are going to be doing that. And we can use 2 weapon fighting even if your weapons aren't light, and this is important because as a rogue, to do a sneak attack, we need to use a finesse weapon, and finesse weapons are things like daggers, short swords and rapiers. Now 2 of those are light. Daggers and short swords are light weapons, so we can wield 2 of those and get 2 weapon fighting bonuses when using those. But rapiers are not. They're finesse weapons, so we can sneak attack, but you can't dual wield them unless you take dual wielder. So when you think that daggers do D4 damage, short swords are D6, rapiers though are D8. So you can imagine you're dual wielding rapiers and you're doing D8 damage in 3 attacks, one of which is a sneak attack, so that's multiplied as well, versus a D4 or D6. So that is really good. So we're definitely taking that. And when we come back, we'll have a little look at this in action and see how it works in combat. So here we are. It's the fight on the Nautiloid, sort of at the end of the tutorial area. Anyone who's played the early access is probably very familiar with this, but we're going to test out the combat here. There's quite a few enemies to do. I'm with Lae'zel and Shadowheart, but I'm just going to use them as sneak attack engines, really. I'm not actually going to attack with them. So what is sneak attack? Well, sneak attack is an attack a rogue can do once per turn, either ranged or melee, and it confers a damage bonus upon enemies who you have advantage on. How do you get advantage? Well, the main way, and probably the most common way of doing it, is to attack an enemy who is within melee range of an ally, one of your party members. It doesn't work with allied NPCs, I don't think, at least not in this version of the game. For ranged, you can also enter stealth and then attack from stealth, I believe, and that will be a sneak attack. But for this video, I'm going to try and mainly get Lae'zel and Shadowheart within melee range of some of these enemies.
Need to get out of here now.
Right, now it's my turn. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring Tav up. I don't know why Tav is the default name, but it is. Within melee range. So we're going to select sneak attack here. 95% chance, sounds good. Blammo. So that was the extra sneak attack damage. We now have our 2 bonus actions. I did pick up another dagger on board, so we can look at using that now. Let's use an offhand attack. 75%. Sounds okay. 1 damage, but that's fine. It's bonus damage, really. And 2. So that's our turn. Now it's my turn. So we're going to sneak attack melee. Oh, it's a miss. It's unlike us. Okay, we'll just use our 2 bonus attacks then. Get a crit, so it's dead anyway. That's where the 3 attacks come in quite nice. We'll move up a little bit. I'm planning to sneak attack with ranged in the next go, so I'll leave them there.
This ship hits the ground. We're dead.
Right, so now we're going to do a ranged sneak attack on this imp. Both Lae'zel and Shadowheart are threatening him, so this should be a sneak attack. There we go, so the sneak attack damage tick there. I mean, we could dash on our action, but we don't need to. We don't really want to get ahead of these two because they're going to be getting our sneak attacks for us. So it's my turn now. I think maybe if let's try and sneak up here.
Time to skulk about.
Oh, that's already failed because of them.
With haste.
Let's come here. We'll try sneaking
I don't
again.
need any attention right now.
Let's see if we can get a sneak attack in stealth.
Hurry before they.
Okay, if we come here, let's see what happens if we sneak attack from ranged. Here it's 100% chance to hit. We've got advantage because we're hiding. Boom, sneak attack damage. Because we attacked with a bow, we don't get the 2 bonus actions, but that's fine. Right. Range sneak attack again. There he goes. If we switch to our melee weapons, we can actually get up and do a couple of offhand attacks on this imp. 1 damage. If we can do 3 damage, it will be a kill. 4. There he goes. So there we go. That's just a little look at the rogue build for Baldur's Gate 3 Early Access. It's one that I find really fun to play, actually. Just trying to get the sneak attack stuff working and all of that. And it just feels pretty strong as well if you can pull it off. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, then please do hit the like button on the video. And perhaps consider subscribing to the channel as well. And I hope to see you again for more Baldur's Gate 3 class guides. Bye for now.